Welcome, listeners. Thanks for coming back to our podcast. We're happy to have you here. My name is Paige,
And I'm Mike.
and today we are bringing the very real challenges and things that that we have been going through. We are just bringing it right to you, and we're excited to do that for you. And we're also going to be just chatting back and forth, asking each other questions, checking in with each other, and I think that you'll all find it very relatable. First, I want to just put a trigger warning in that Mike and I are going to be very real about what we've been experiencing and that it might be sensitive. And so feel free if you need to maybe take a break, or if it's something that, you're uncomfortable with, please know that not every session will be like this. We're all about, sharing real stuff, but also being, educational and empowering as well, which will come. But today, it's just been a little bit of a roller coaster this past week. So we really want to bring that authenticity to you. Also, I just want to introduce Fred. He is our producer. He's also my brother. He does all the behind the scenes stuff, but also it's really important to have someone who doesn't have a chronic condition that might be able to kind of chime in and say, "Hey, Paige, like, what did you mean by this or about this?" So he's really here. You might hear him pop in. Fred, say hey.
Hey.
You might hear him pop in for a clarifying question or something that will help us along the way. So just know that he's here as well. So we are going to get started, and I hope you enjoy this podcast knowing that you're not alone. All right, Mikey, welcome back. It's good to see you. And how
You
has
too.
your week been going? Let's get real.
Oh, we're gonna get real with it today, Paige. It's been a week. It's been a week for sure. And I'll just kind of explain some of the things going on. So I have ulcerative colitis, as we mentioned in the first podcast. But to those that are new to this episode or just new listeners, welcome. Um, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 2019. I've been living with it ever since. Um, and this week I got slapped back into reality uh, with my condition. To give just a little bit of background and context to it, um, I'd been feeling really good. Like I had been, you know, on top of my game with things in a really good routine, and just feeling really good holistically in general with my condition. Last week I had a kind of routine procedure that my doctor had wanted to do, just to kind of go in, take a look around, see how things are going, and make sure that there weren't kind of any big surprises. Again, it was very routine. This happened on Friday. Yeah, when I'd woken up for the procedure, the doctor had come in and kind of concernedly was like, yeah, we saw some pretty significant, inflammation in, part of the area that I'd gotten worked on for, my procedure years ago. And more so than I think usual, that he was kind of expecting. To provide a little bit more background, it's called, like, the actual name of it is called cuffitis. So it's a part of, my digestive system that's different than other people's. It's an area that there's a connection between, where they created this J pouch for me since I don't have a colon. Like right at the kind of end of that, he said there was pretty significant inflammation. I had this previous. This was like 3 years ago, where they had kind of just put me on some medications and didn't think twice about it. However, the concern was that this was more significant inflammation that he had seen before. And now he wants to kind of change the course of treatment that I've been doing, which sucks. I didn't really anticipate that happening at all. Like, I wasn't having symptoms that were kind of showing me that I thought that I was, not as well as I was. And obviously, with that, there were just a lot of questions subsequently following. And so, for the past 3 years, I've really only been on like a medication, daily, that kind of just like helps to bind me up. And then another medication that's supposed to help with inflammation. That I guess I should have been taking more regularly, but I wasn't having any symptoms, so I wasn't taking the medication. And so when he had told me that the inflammation was pretty severe, I kind of just like had that knot in my stomach of like, this doesn't feel good. Like this, like obviously something is wrong. So he had mentioned very briefly, kind of in that post-op discussion, going back on a medication for ulcerative colitis, like proper. So since my procedure, since I had gotten my entire colon removed, I hadn't been on a medication for ulcerative colitis because the disease part of my colon was taken out. And so now that the inflammation is back, he wanted to have kind of a conversation of what that might look like. So the days following the procedure were a lot of uncertainty, a lot of concern, and just a lot of questions that I didn't have the answer to from family, from friends, which just made it difficult. So biopsies were taken during the procedure, and I had to wait for those. Actually, just spoke with my with the doctor's office today, and they wanted to get me in, rather quickly to have that conversation. So luckily, they were able to get me in before my trip to Portugal, which is in 4 days. So there were a lot of moving pieces, mainly because I knew I was going on this trip that had been planned for, 6 months. And I'm like, of course, the week before I'm supposed to go on this trip, I get this news. And I'm like, if I can't go on this trip without knowing the course of treatment, knowing, really how significant it is, because I haven't, had that in person appointment with him yet to discuss the treatment. So there's just been a lot of moving pieces that are still unclear. So that's all
Wow.
encompassing kind of where I'm at right now. So
Wow, that's so much to unpack, like, in the course of, this time.
mhm.
I I there were so many parts as you're talking where I'm, like, holding my breath because it's just I get it, like, it's just when you find something to be so unexpected and then uncertain, and then what's the course of action, and, "Oh, I'm traveling out of the country in the next week." That's I'm so sorry that really hit you so hard, especially feeling like you were doing well, right? Um,
Yeah,
so
appreciate it.
I think this really does bring us to, well, one, I think we will hit on ongoing acceptance for sure. But first, do you mind just explaining a little bit more to our audience your ulcerative colitis, what it means to have ulcerative colitis, because we still are early in this podcast, and just knowing like some of the procedure, maybe some of the things you've been through, or whatever you're willing to share today that could kind of help people understand really what it is you go through and then what that means. So, like, what that means in terms of your care every day, just giving a little more info, if you
Yeah,
don't mind.
absolutely. I could probably talk about it for an hour, so I'm going to try and make it as concise as possible. But so essentially, I was diagnosed in 2019 with ulcerative colitis. Essentially, I was having some stomach pains and issues, and um, trigger warning, bleeding. That obviously was not normal from the digestive tract. And so in 2019, they had done a procedure called an endoscopy and colonoscopy. So it's an all-in-one procedure where they scope you from top and bottom, and they found different pockets of inflammation in my digestive tract. So it basically just means different pockets throughout the digestive tract that have significant inflammation. So what that means symptomatically is there could be bleeding. There could just be increased, bowel movements, nausea, vomiting. Those are just kind of some of the main ones. Fatigue. So at that time, I was placed on medications to help try and reduce that inflammation. I was on those for about a year, And then my symptoms just got progressively worse. The medications weren't working. So I went on another medication, which was an infusion called Remicade, where I was sitting in a hospital for an hour and a half, 2 hours, getting an infusion of medication. It's a biologic, and so I did that for I think like one or two treatments. Significantly, my symptoms got worse to the point where I was hospitalized and had to get my colon removed. That essentially was supposed to help me, like cure me in a way, because they just removed the disease. And it did for a while. And so I was able to get a reversal surgery where, you know, the first surgery where they did remove my colon, I lived for a year with a colostomy bag. But post that year, as I was healing, I was able to do a surgery called like reversal or J pouch surgery, where they essentially just reconnect my tubing where I could like go to the bathroom like a normal person. So for the past 3 years, I've been living with that, J pouch, tubing connected. However, that also comes with its challenges of still using the bathroom more frequently because I don't have a colon. That's just kind of the nature of it. That's, kind of just, generally speaking, my process and what it's looked like up until now, where I've just been living, you know, like that.
Yeah. And talking about something that really stuck with me too is talking about how, hey, they went in and they took this out, and that was the diseased part. That was supposed to be the cure. That was supposed to really help me in this situation, and my problems would quote go away, right? Everything would resolve. And just for everybody to reminder that, like, I'm living with epilepsy, which is also seizure disorder. I've been through the surgeries as well. And you're very hopeful that, oh, this is going to be the answer. And this is, and for some people it is, right? Like, so anyone out there if you've had a surgery and it's been successful, like, go you, like, we are happy for you. For sure. We celebrate you in the fact that modern medicine has the ability to sometimes do that, which is great. But when I do hear you say that, Mike, it definitely ignites a little knot in my heart, because there is that hope, and not that we don't have hope in other ways now, but this hope that, oh, this will cure me. This will help me um live life and be a person who doesn't have this problem or this issue with my body anymore. And I won't have to worry about it every day or think about it every day. And then when you kind of get this news, whether it's me having a seizure and realizing, oh, it's not cured, right? Or whether it's you having this procedure and, oh, the inflammation is pretty bad. We get this little reality check of, oh, like, this is something I really have to still take care of and consider. And and it really becomes a much bigger part of our life again. Um, so yeah, that really, really stuck with me hard, Mike. That's tough to go through at this time.
Yeah, and obviously you living with epilepsy, and I know you've had a couple tough weeks as well. Um, it's it's one of those things that you just get hit with the reality. And we're lucky enough to be at a point in our lives and in our journey where we're able to roll with the punches. We have our strategies. We're able to reframe and restructure our mindset into a more positive way, but that doesn't come without living in the suckage for some time.
Right.
That just happens. um
Right.
And so Paige, if you feel comfortable, and do you want to kind of explain maybe some of the things that you've maybe been going through over the past couple weeks?
Yeah, and I don't wanna ignore this last point that I think right now is a good opportunity as we speak about this, to bring up, I don't know if this term is coined. I know that I've coined it. Maybe it is somewhere, like, but I'm calling it ongoing acceptance. And this is where we do have almost this roller coaster in a way of, we're doing really great. Like, Mike, you mentioned that you were doing really well. You had your symptoms under control. Even like in one of our last podcasts, you had spoken about going to the gym. That's something that helps you. And like having this almost like normal routine of sorts that keeps you feeling good and you know what you can eat, what you shouldn't eat, where the bathrooms are, like all the things, right? And then for me, I might have bouts of, wow, like I'm doing pretty good. I'm not worried about having a seizure today. Or maybe for this entire week. And then it kind of as we move forward, right, there's becomes this acceptance of like, okay, I got this. I've got my routine. I'm good. And then something like this hits us and we were dealing with this reality of, oh, I have to like re-accept almost. Like I need to continue developing. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Continue developing my acceptance that there isn't really a predictability all the time. And that I have to be able to, like you said, almost roll with the punches and use my tools on the good days, like in terms of like we have our strategies for times that we're doing pretty well, and then we also have strategies for more difficult times and that we need to enlist those strategies. But at the same time, it doesn't make it any easier to receive that news and be like, wait, but I was good. And so, yes, there is that period of another term that I think I may have coined sitting
Mhm.
in the suckage, which is just taking that time to really let it sink in and to deal with that and maybe grieve a little bit. And maybe, I mean, there's so many complexities to dealing with some of this stuff. So, you know, I'm sure for you, and you can speak to it, is like, where are you at? I mean, are you sitting in the suckage right now? And then, because we will move out of that. That's where we want to also encourage people is like, it's okay to sit in the suckage. It's okay to be like, I need to just feel kind of crappy about this right now. Then we need to move into this phase of movement where we're moving forward, we're accepting and we're moving. And it doesn't mean that everyone moves at the same pace or in the same way, but we are finding some sort of groove in purpose and hope. End rant. Go ahead, Mike.
No, that was beautiful. And truth be told, like I'm at a place right now where my emotional and logical sides of my brain are at war. Where I'm like, logically, all right, like I have my doctor's appointment tomorrow, like we're gonna figure it out. He's gonna tell me exactly what we need to do, and I'm gonna do it. And then the emotional side of my brain, which is like, hey, dude, like slow down, um, take it in, like you just found out some big news, be gentle with yourself. Um, and that's a ongoing battle at the moment, because I still don't have the answers, and so that uncertainty kind of just creeps in like, hey, um, I'm here, like what if it's worse than you thought, all of those anxious thoughts that come in. But I also know, because I'm fortunately at the point where I'm able to combat those thoughts and not let those take over, because I know if they did, it would just make things worse.
Yeah.
Um, it's not helpful. So, a lot of it is riding on the doctor's appointment tomorrow just to kind of figure out course of treatment, and hopefully feeling good about that. I have luckily a lot of trust in the team that I have, the doctors that I work with. And so whatever they say, I fully align with. Um, but obviously it comes with its own challenges, being put on a different medication, whatever that might look like. Um, the term ongoing acceptance is more than relevant here.
Yeah. But this is a perfect segue, if I'm being honest. I'm not trying to steal it from you, but this is like great segue into when you say, okay, my mind and my body, and then I always add in my spirit or my soul, is like they have to be on the same page. Like that's a lot of at least the treatment that I use as well with myself and my clients is we have to be thinking, feeling, and acting in alignment. And so when those and this is the perfect segue into what's been going on with me is I've noticed, hey, I can think all the thoughts that I want that assure me that I'm okay, but my body is saying the opposite. It's in ways freaking out. And there's, just for reference, anybody who's been through trauma or is trying to kind of deal with some of their body issues, it's a very sensitive book. So I want to let you know that it's harsh to read, but there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. I had a hard time reading it. I didn't even finish it because it was so triggering. But the premise of it, the book really is that our body will store and hold the things that are hard if we don't deal with them mentally, emotionally, in that way. And so I have been doing so much work. And Mike, I know you know this about me. Fred, I know you know this about me. Like, I've been doing so much work to really try to realign my body and my mind and my soul and get them on the same page. And this week, I kind of just got to this point of, am I doing enough? Like, what more could I possibly do? I've been, so we all talk about like, oh, it's been a rough week. Look, I've been doing this for a year now. So I've been, thank the Lord, I have been seizure free for almost a year now, which is amazing, but I still have a lot of residual stuff going on. So for example, I have an aura every single day of some sort. And auras, for those of you that don't know, it's kind of this like warning signal of a seizure. So like for me, I get a tingling sensation in my lip on the right side of my face. And it can cause more symptoms like confusion or a dazed feeling. Some people have deja vu. Some people get a wave of like exhaustion. Like it just depends on the type of seizure you have. Some people get auras before they have migraines if you have chronic migraines. So it's really just a little warning signal. And they're more prevalent now than they ever have been, and I'm just having such a tough time balancing, like, how much am I doing too much? My body's not grounded? Um, am I like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm at this point of, like, I feel like I've tried everything and I'm continuing to work. It's been over a year, yet I'm still dysregulated every day. I'm still having to do the yoga and do the breathing like multiple times a day just to stay regulated. And that is something that is so valuable. Like, I can't wait until we have a session on the regulation and how to like help your body feel better. It's a lifetime practice, right? Just like they call yoga a practice, or, you know, whatever your like religion is, like or spirituality, a practice, right? Because it's something that we're constantly working on. But it's just been so exhausting. Just in total reality, I'm tired, I'm run down. I feel like I'm working 40 hours a week plus 20 hours on other things, and I'm realistically not working that much, but the toll, the tiredness, it is just, I feel like I can't escape it right now, and even me trying to help myself isn't helping. And so at this point, a little bit of me is like, all right, girl, like it's coming. Like the season, like this season has been longer than any other season that you've been through, right? Like we all go through seasons. Like this is one of my like bigger things is like we all go through seasons of life, just like the ongoing acceptance. Sometimes I'm doing great. Sometimes I'm able to play soccer. Other times I'm not. And I'm not doing so well. But when that season lasts a little longer than you want it to, it's like, let me just shake it off, man. Like, get out. Like, I know what I want to be, where I want to be. But right now, my body's just like not allowing that. And so, getting into that, into the root of it and doing the work, I just feel like I've been doing the work and it just feels like I'm running on the dang treadmill. Which by that I just mean I'm getting nowhere. Like I'm running to nowhere. There's value in treadmills, don't get me wrong, but like in this sense, it just feels like I'm doing a lot of work to get nowhere. And then I also argue the other side, and then we'll circle back. Is like I also argue the other side that like this is me practicing endurance. This is me practicing the daily things that need to happen for me to be healthy. It's teaching me. So I also know there's value in this journey, but this week just feels like so clouded, like so cloudy and so down. And And with our job, Mike, right? Like we help other people feel hope. Like we're social workers, I'm a coach. Like that's my job. And I just think that this really brings the humanness into it is that your therapist, your doctor, your coach, we're all human. And so we're all going through our own things too. And it's not that I can't be there to support them. It just feels harder to do that. Does that make sense?
100% Paige.
Lena,
100%.
you
And
hear my
and
big breath? I'm like, ah, like,
yeah, it's literally your body like expressing it.
yeah.
Yeah. And Paige, I gotta thank you for everything that you said because what you just said was so real and vulnerable and true. And what you just explained is the real nature of what we go through on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. And there are times like you're expressing right now, whether it's been a couple weeks or a couple months of just being tired and feeling like you're constantly running on empty despite you doing everything that you can. And that's just, I think, part of what we go through. It's no different than, from when I wake up in the morning and I'm planning my day around, okay, I'm going to be at this location, needing to make sure that there's a bathroom here, bathroom there, making sure I'm, noticing what I'm eating and how that's going to affect me, right? You're doing the same thing the second you wake up, planning your day, what that's going to look like, knowing that you have to do some yoga, some meditation, some breathing to regulate yourself. That's what we go through. And, I very much appreciate you saying that, there's seasons to this because
Yeah.
that is so true. Like I was just in a season that I was like, wow, this is awesome. I'm feeling good. I'm
Yeah.
going to Portugal. This is so cool. And then the season changed. It's like, all right, well, we're going into winter despite it being summer because you know, you live with a chronic condition, right?
Right.
And you've been in a long season. You've been battling, and you're going to continue to, as
Yeah.
I'm going to continue, because it's a lot harder to sit with our symptoms, let it overtake us, right? Because we know that doesn't feel good, right?
And also, like, you and I are trained to help others through this, right? So there's this piece of me that goes, all right, Paige, remember, you're everyone's number one cheerleader, which is so true. Okay. Everyone, like, it is, right? So you have to show up a certain way. And to me, I've been realizing that that's just not the correct way to be thinking about it because the version of me that I am today will be the version that someone needs to hear and someone needs to be with. And then, it will evolve and develop. And the person that I am today, oh my goodness, this is actually so funny, right? Like I'm so full disclosure, I'm 31, right? Like I'm getting older than what I really like thought I was, if that makes sense, right? So like I think back to when I was 21, what a different person. I know this is a little tangential, but I think about it like, wow, what a journey it's been to get here. And some of the ways I've grown, some of the ways that I've felt like we all can look back and say, something about our past, but I don't know if I would have done anything differently. And I love that part of it because even though life has handed us these challenges, right? Like this is a humongous challenge. And I've been living with this for over 20 years, but my epilepsy has evolved and not always for the best. Like seizure frequency is better in terms of its longer spans of time, but they're more intense and the uncertainty is higher and the ability, just certain things have changed. But what was my point? The development of who we are, right? Oh my gosh.
from 21 to 31.
Help me out. Yeah, like, right? Like, yes, when was it 21 to now? Like, I would never go back and change anything, but we were given this challenge. How do we use it? And I don't ever want to feel like I have to show up here, for example, on this podcast where we're empowering people and we're also here to support them in their moments, right? In every way, we are here for people and each other.
You know,
But I never wanna feel like I have to show up here as, like, happy-go-lucky Paige, right? Like, I just need to show up as who I am today, and that's exactly what you did today, and exactly what we both did today that I think is so valuable that someone will and we all do, and I empathize with you today, and, like, my heart was in knots when you're telling me what you're telling me, and I think that people can appreciate the fact that we're vulnerable and we want everyone to know too that like it doesn't mean that it's this should also be empowering because it also has not stopped us
mhm.
from doing the things in our life that we want to do. And I don't think this is going to stop me from going to Portugal. Like and even if we have to make adjustments, right? Like even if there are certain adjustments you make, whatever it is, like you still get to go out and be the human being that you are. But we never want to show up as a fake version of ourselves just to say, it's all right. This is all good, right? Like, and I know you can speak to that too. So I'll hand it over.
Because I think we're not immune to it. We're not. Like, we're lucky to have battled with and dealt with our conditions for this long, where we're able to, and obviously it helps that we're social workers and we do this on a day-to-day basis with clients. But we're lucky to have, in some ways, the way I like to think about it is we're lucky to have gone through it for this long, to know what works, to know what doesn't work, and to know how to build ourselves up to get out of the funk. And knowing if we need to sit in it for a little bit to then come out of the other side, we can do that. Right. Like, in my head, we're fortunate to be able to do that and be able to provide that to our listeners. And I think today is a perfect example, honestly, Paige, of who we are as people, because it would have been a heck of a lot easier for both of us to just say, hey, Paige, or like, hey, Mike, going through it today, going through it this week. Can we cancel? Can we just push it out a week? Right.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot easier to do that. Truly. Oh, okay. Don't need to worry about it. Don't need to be vulnerable, talk about it. Would have been easier to do that. But instead, we showed up.
Yeah.
We're here. We're talking about it. Like, we're doing the thing. And I think that just speaks to what we're able to do with our chronic condition. And it's different for everybody. Maybe showing up is like getting out of your bed and like that's it for you, right? For everybody,
Yes.
truly.
Yes. Yes. And you know what? This is so amazing that you brought this up, Mike, because last night I put on my voice memo and was just like rant about something that I'm developing for my company of like what I want to be in here. And one of those lines was like, it would be easier when I'm having a bad day for me to curl up in bed and say, I'm not going to do something today. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing because there are times where we need rest, right? Like we need to be able to take care of our bodies and all of that. But I really thought about it like there is this opportunity for us to say, I'm just going to go, I'm just going to ignore the world today, right? I'm just going to like go in my shell and just stay there. And there's this empowerment piece that I'm like, no, like I need to say like, you know what, maybe I have to pull back on a couple things and like just for my health to make sure I'm safe. But that doesn't mean that I can't create something great today or have a conversation with Mike and Fred on the podcast. It doesn't mean that I can't, take my dog for a walk. Maybe we'll go on a shorter walk today, but it doesn't mean that I can't. And this this intention that we have, right, is to meet you wherever you're at. If you're curled up in bed listening to this right now, that is not anything to be ashamed of at all. If you're a super lady or a superman out there in the business world killing it right now and you need this, great, awesome. Like, this is to meet you where you are and show you the rawness and just demonstrate the raw, is rawness a word? Raw part of what real life is, and that there is this hope here, where I'm not gonna let one bad day define me or define the rest of my day, right? Like, or define who I am. I'm gonna acknowledge it. I might acknowledge that I'm sad, but I'm still gonna show up. And I'm still gonna do like challenge myself in one way or another that day. Wow. Yes, Mike.
Great. What a great way to kind of wrap it up, because I think we showed up today authentically, raw, vulnerable with what we're going through, um, and also trying to empower each other to like fight the fight, continue going.
Let's go, baby.
On we go. On to Portugal I go in 4
There
days.
you go. There you go. All right. So I think, biggest, well, whatever you took away from this, I know I took something great away from this, Mike. I don't know exactly what you took, but I, I think that feeling less alone in this journey is important. And we want to encourage everybody who's listening, feel free to email us your stories. There's email or a link in our bio, like, or on our page that you can send us like what you're going through. We'd love to be able to bring our listeners in on this podcast and just kind of acknowledge some of these things that people are going through. So please feel free to reach out, introduce yourself. We will definitely be emailing back, and maybe we'll have a couple episodes to kind of acknowledge some of these people if you're comfortable with us bringing stories into the podcast. And we hope you enjoyed listening today. We will see you next week with a new topic, something different. We do plan on getting into some of these like really real topics that we hope that will impact you, or just, I don't know, maybe something entertaining to listen to. I don't know. All right.
Awesome.
Bye
Well,
from
it's
me.
me. Sign off.
Yeah. Signing off.